Friends, as we have been talking about various aspects, right from MICE to other different things that we spoke about, religious tourism and all those things, finally we come across one of the very prominent and pertinent problems, which all my students over here have been telling me and have been sending emails to me that we want to talk about this topic, and who better than Scot? So Scot Richardson came forward, and he's going to be talking about it. And I'll just build up a prelude to this particular thing: the graduates' roles in hospitality post COVID-19. Well, the topic says post COVID-19, but as I have been constantly talking about the fact that there is nothing like post COVID at this time, we are during COVID. And as I reported last time also in my updates, that the WHO has been talking about in a way that where they have been referring to the fact that this might be there for another 4 to 5 years. You never know. So hopefully we don't want that much time, but we never know about it. So coming back to the first aspect, which I introduced a couple of lectures back, where I give you certain updates. Fortunately, there was no update after 13th to 14th of May this month. So since our last lecture to this lecture, there have been no updates on UNWTO website, which they have been talking about and thinking about. But they had just come up with this, an inclusive response for vulnerable groups. So this I felt should be very good or important thing which my students should be aware of. They should be knowing about it, and they should see that what our Apex organization is doing vis-a-vis their response for vulnerable groups. And today I'm taking up this women in tourism. So there are 3 groups that they have mentioned. So I'll take up them subsequently in subsequent lectures. Today, just a little bit what UNWTO is doing for women who are part of our industry and who play a very, very important role vis-a-vis our industry is concerned, and how they should be handled and what precautions they should take. So an immediate response has been from UNWTO vis-a-vis aid for informal workers. That is pouring in. UNWTO, through its member countries, member states, has been constantly pushing them to provide aid to these informal workers, women informal workers. That's a very important aspect. They're trying to see to it that gender balance is maintained within this crisis management aspect. That it's just not that usually what happens is, especially in the developing worlds and the African and the Indian Asian continent, that women are a little bit ignored. Not much, but still a little bit ignored. Gender imbalances are there. So they have been constantly pushing that, and crisis management, there should be a proper gender management, and access to healthcare should be also provided to them. So that's a very important aspect, equal access to information. So immediate response that UNWTO has built up vis-a-vis during COVID is this particular thing. And they are also looking at providing flexible working conditions. It's for all the employees that they are propagating this particular factor. But for women, it's more important because they have to take care of their families and also all these things. And they are also looking at boosting the entrepreneurship and career progression amongst women. So that's an aspect which they have been looking at, which they are thinking of. And they're trying to see to it that this recovery mechanism should be embedded by all the member states. So this is something regarding response regarding vulnerable groups, especially women, by UNWTO, which I feel that all my students, all my participants present over here should be aware of. They should be looking at it, and they should be in a way trying to work towards it. Okay, so now we come to the topic that we are going to discuss today. Well, what I feel is, even during COVID, globalization is an unstoppable force. You all must be aware of this particular factor. By now, you must be seeing the scenes on television where people are coming out in New York or in other parts of America, in some parts of India also, and in other countries. In Germany, they were very vocal, where they have been coming up with the fact that they want to open up. They want to open their businesses. They want to welcome their friends. They want to start doing work. So this is one thing which is very important. The continuous economic growth is going to be there. You cannot stop it. Yes, it is being derailed. It is slowed down. It is drastically slowed down. It's drastically slowed down. But the fact is that still that economic growth is going on. Consumerism, well, it's key to expressing our identity for all the hospitality and tourism students, especially the hospitality students. The first day when the restaurants and F&B services opened up in some of the hotels in US, and especially in New York and Washington, they were totally full. They were jam-packed. There were lines outside. So that's an heartening factor for us, that our customer is ready to embrace us. Only factor is, are we ready to embrace our customer? Are we prepared to embrace our customer in a proper way? Tourism, as I've been propagating over a period of time, is one of those things which maintains the mental well-being of citizens. It maintains the mental and physical health of our citizens, and it is very, very important, especially for the rural and the coastal regions. It's always there, and it has to be provided. And it is one of those catalysts which is sustainable and survivable, which has to be there for the sustainable and survivable future. Well, 70% students at this moment, 70% of the students have come up with the fact that, and they have been saying that they have been impacted by this thing, and 30% are still struggling to find their footholds within the hospitality industry. That's very important. But when I told you that customers are willing to embrace us, the response that we have seen is there. So the two very important factors which I talked about in my earlier lecture also, and which I'm going to emphasize today, is one of them is trust. Trust is a very important factor. Now, what you as a service provider, are you willing or are you ready to embrace? By willing, I just don't want to say the fact that, yes, I want to have more customers. No, by willing, I mean to say the famous saying that is, actions speak louder than words. That means, are you prepared enough? Are you prepared enough to accept those customers? Are you prepared enough, or are you prepared enough to give them that particular trust? Strict sanitary and hygiene measures need to be adopted. And that is what I'm referring towards as preparedness. Are you prepared for that particular thing? That's a very important aspect that you have to look at it. And that's what we are going to guide today vis-a-vis all the graduates from hospitality industry or who are entering the hospitality industry. That's what Scott is going to talk about. And that's what I'm going to also build a prelude for that. New SOPs of the hospitality industry. Obviously, the COVID-19 has changed all the expectations of the customers. So both in relation to the service that we are providing during and after. So that is a very important aspect. That means the other day I was giving you an example where I was talking about, and we were seeing on television also, how Uber has said that after every customer that embarks on his journey and is dropped at a point, the whole car is going to be sanitized. So this is an SOP that we are having up. So similar is with the hospitality industry. Obviously, there have to be a gap of 1 meter amongst the customers. In Czech Republic, as I already mentioned, that there has been restaurants which have opened up the boxes where people only sit within that box and there is a distance. Just now on the television, I was looking at the open areas or the green areas in New York and in Washington, and what they are trying to do is they are marking white circles on the lawns, so that a 6 feet wide circle is marked, so only one person within that circle can sit and enjoy himself. So that's what I'm saying. The new SOPs of the hospitality industry, you should try to get accustomed to them, try to learn about them, and see to it that whatever happens, whatever goes on within the industry, you acquire those particular traits. This is very important aspect that I've been talking about, is that hospitality industry, as I told you earlier also, all the hospitality graduates, they are the closest to the healthcare service providers because they have that compassion. They have that compassion of service. And this is what was proved when a worldwide solidarity was maintained by the many hotels, where they try to welcome the healthcare service providers, hospital patients, doctors, the first responders, and everything. So that makes us more hospitable, and we already have this thing embedded in this virtue within all of us. Obviously, there are huge responsibilities on you as graduates, what you should try to look at and what you should try to rework. I know some of you must have already done your studies, or must be in the final year of your studies, must have done most of your work related to, or coursework related, or trainings, and you must have taught one set of SOPs or structures or protocols or normals, but these are going to change now. Especially if we come, some of the changes that you would like to know and read about is the cancellation policies. Now, the cancellation policies of the hospitality industry are going to change in a very, very big way. So it's going to be very, very flexible cancellation policies. As what I foresee is that moment you enter any of these service provider stations, obviously thermal screening is going to be there, and other sorts of screenings are going to be there. So that is going to be very, very important aspect. So if somebody is found negative or positive during those thermal screenings, that is turned away, how much sort of refund he should get, and how soon he or she can get that particular refund. That's going to be very, so cancellation policies, all the people within the hospitality industry are going to revise their cancellation policies, and you as graduates should be abreast with what those cancellation policies are going to be there. Pre-arrival registrations. Now this is going to be minimum contact, or rather you can say zero contact. I was the other day I was looking at this airport at Hyderabad, which has opened up, where they had zero contact, and I was explaining it to my students also that what they do is, even the baggage tags that are going to come up now, you will have to learn to put on those baggage tags. Nobody's going to touch you. So that's a very important aspect. So pre-arrival registration, minimum contact with your customer, but giving a service with a smile, which is the logo of the hospitality industry. So that's an important aspect. So how do you train yourself vis-a-vis that is concerned? That is going to be very important. Knowledge regarding COVID-19 testing and tracing. This is one of the responsibilities which all you frontline hospitality graduates will be given. So are you ready for that? Are you aware of that? Have you read everything regarding COVID-19 testing? If not, you have to go and read it. Understand what is going to happen, because you are going to face it. And mind it, nobody's going to come and teach you. My whole essence behind the starting of this lectures was, this is not an ordinary webinar series where we have 4 or 5 experts coming in. We are actually talking about theoretical aspects. And this is what we are trying to teach you, that you have to start working on. Now, look at, there must be some lectures of some experts going on COVID-19 also. I'll also have one of those over here. So you learn how to test, how to trace, what are the repercussions, how to do it. If somebody is found positive, what should be done? All these things have to be understood by you, and how to check the symptoms. You have to learn about this and understand it. Social distancing. Another very important aspect, another responsibility that is going to fall upon you is social distancing, and you have to see to it that maintaining social distancing norms. How do you talk to your customers, clients who are reaching over there, and how do you work on that? Sanitizing public areas. You should understand and know how to tricks of trades, how to do that. Greetings and acknowledgements. Service, buffet. The other day I was talking about the fact that buffet service. Now we have to, in a way, express to our customers, or to all the tourists that we are meeting, that minimum amount of buffet service is going to be provided. So they have to learn to order in room only. So that's a very important aspect, because you don't want many people at one particular place. In your restaurant, you don't want 100 or 200 or 300 people coming for breakfast service. So you don't want that. And if there was a restaurant which could house 200 people, or a room could house 200 people, now it is going to just house 50, 60, 70 people. So because that is what is going to be very important. Guest room sanitization, how that is done, how you need to practice that. That is going to room service. Whosoever is providing the room service, how should he approach the room, and how should he provide all those things within that particular, to that particular customer. So this is going to be a very important aspect. And a very important aspect is going to be when there is going to be change of shifts, when a new person is going to take over and you have to go out. So that is going to be when that changeover is happening. It has to be very seamless, smoothless, and also all detailed facts have to be presented to the newcomer who's trying to take your position. So that is going to be very, very important aspect. What I was looking at, I feel technology interventions are going to be very important for you graduates, and you have to see to it that you have to understand AI and technology. You have to, there are so many certificate courses around about. Our All India Council for Technical Education itself is offering within India, this is for the Indian students, that they are offering around about 400 free online courses, and anybody in the world can pursue those particular courses. So 400 free online courses related to technology and all those things. Go and enroll on those courses. Start doing those courses, because you would need all these courses. How remote hiring, online networking alternatives are being worked up. That is very important, and you have to look at it. American Hospitality Academy has N number of courses. They have N number of courses. And yesterday when I was searching, I could see so many courses on COVID-19 and hygiene services. That was a very important. For all the students over here, go to their website, try to see which courses they are offering. Obviously, they charge money for that, but they are also subsidized up to some extent. So start looking at those. Our own FHRI, FSSAI have collaborated to start a program on food safety training and certification. So go on, try to pursue those particular courses. Pride Hotel Group has come out with very good initiative where they are providing virtual sessions for cooking online parties, organizational, corporate training. They're working on it. They're providing some trainings regarding contactless services like facility management. So for the students, it's very important for the graduates to go on and look at it. And these are some of the alternatives. A lot of students have been coming to me and asking me, which other job can I do? What other job that I can do apart from working in a hotel? These are the things that you have. You could be a quality improvement manager. You could be a country club manager, or property manager, theme park manager, community relations specialist, which are being hired even by the government at this moment also, because they need these relationship assistants, specialists for various villages also. I would request everyone to kindly mute their audios. Thank you. So community relations specialist, that's something that, that is going to be very important. In fact, in India also, Government of India is getting up many people for village contacts, and they are going at village level workers, they are going and they are interacting with them. Corporate licensing, they would need hospitality. I told you why, because I told you earlier also, and I'll tell you why, because of the fact that you are the most polite people. Hospitality industry teaches you how to be polite, how to be understandable, how to look at the requirements of your customers, and corporate licensing is a very, very important aspect. So these are some of the jobs that I was yesterday going through, which I could feel that you all could be part of, you all could be, will be able to learn. Again, I come back to the very important factor. Flexibility will be the key. I know some of my students who have attended my earlier lectures also would be now saying that this word comes again and again. Yes, this comes again and again, because this is the secret to success. If I have been successful in my life, whatever I have achieved, because I was flexible, because I never said no to anything. I always was willing to learn and willing to work. And this is what I've seen in majority of the leaders. They are very, very flexible and they want to learn. That resilience is there. That resilience to improve themselves is there. That self-care is there. See, you can only take care of other people until unless you can take care of yourself. We all have flown in the aeroplanes, and this announcement is made. Whenever these oxygen masks will fall, first you have to take care of yourself and then help others. So if you're not yourself competent enough to take care of yourself, how will you take care of your team? How will you take care of the people around you? So flexibility, resilience, self-care, team care, workplace care are very, very important aspects. Try to implement them, my graduate students, and you will be very, very successful. Famous trends that are going on, hashtag stay home today, hashtag travel tomorrow. That's going to be a very, very important aspect, and you all should look at it. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I'll stop my sharing at this moment. Over to you, Scott. Your turn now. And thanks for patiently listening to me. Scott, I have made you the co-host, so you can share your screen and presentation if you'd like.
Great. Thanks, Prof. Manhas. It's very great to be with everyone today. It's my pleasure to join you all. I'll just share my screen so we can get started. Okay, so thanks, Prof. Manhas. I think that's definitely set us up for a good conversation, and I think that I'll have many of the same points that I'll talk about as well. But I've also got in my presentation some hints for our students that are graduating soon. So thanks everyone for having me today. It's my great pleasure to be here. I'd like to say hi to all of my colleagues that are joining us, as well as all the students that are on the call with us as well. Prof. Manhas, these sessions are a fantastic initiative, so congratulations to you and Prof. Kandapan and the others that are involved. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for our students. It is a strange time that we're living in at the moment worldwide, and I know here in Dubai, things have been closed down now since the middle of March. All of our students have been studying online since about the second week of March, so things have been quite different. Obviously, Dubai is very much a tourism city, and this whole COVID-19 situation has obviously had a very big impact on this city. Most of the attractions are closed and remain closed. So theme parks, different attractions within shopping malls are all closed. Many hotels are closed and are only just starting to reopen even now. So it has been a big impact on the industry here. However, it's not it's not necessarily a negative thing for our graduates, but it will change the way that the world sees tourism and the way that you will need to look out for your careers post-graduation. As Prof Manhas said, the key thing at the moment is we're not sure. We're not sure how long this will continue for. It's obviously going to continue at least in the short to medium term, and we all have to learn to live with the changes. So just some graphs for you just to show the impact this pandemic has had on the world. I know you've probably seen many of these types of graphs before, but this was from STR, and this was the daily occupancy rates year over year in India for March. So we can see at the start of March, when things were still reasonably normal worldwide, things had been shut down in China for a little while, but we see that at the start of March, things were roughly on par with last year, maybe a little bit below. But that first week in March, as we started to see borders close around the world, those numbers dropped dramatically. So by the end of March, we were sitting at about 80% less than the occupancy rates from the previous year. And this is, by all evidence, has continued on into April as well, and also into May. So we're starting to see these figures slightly going back up in some areas, but the hospitality industry really is still struggling quite badly. When we look at Europe, so Europe has been very badly impacted. Obviously, a number of countries in Europe, Italy, Spain, the UK, have been hit very hard by this pandemic. And we can see by these statistics, again, this is the comparison between February numbers on RevPAR and March numbers. So we can see in February, in most countries, it was on track in February compared to the previous year. But when we look at March, we can see that things went very bad. So Italy, for example, was almost 90% down on their RevPAR from the previous year. And that can be seen right across Europe for March. And again, that has continued through again into April and May as well. There's some projections. So this is what the projections are for the US, the tourism industry actually in the US over the rest of the year. So we can see in March, it took a massive hit, 83% down on revenue in April. But we see, as they're predicting that as we move throughout the rest of the year, that things will start to return to some form of normality. 60% down in May, 40% in June. But then when we get to the summer, which is the usual busy period for travel in the US, we start to see that starts to diminish a little bit. However, I'm not sure this will be the case. Obviously, predictions are just that, they're predictions. But given that what's happening worldwide, it'll be interesting to see whether this starts to really come to fore, or whether we still see the 60 to 80% drops for the coming months as well. So Prof Manhas has already talked to us about some of the possible changes to hotels and the tourism industry worldwide post-COVID-19. And there's going to be quite a lot of changes, at least in the short term. So Prof Manhas mentioned about hygiene expectations. So a recent study where they basically did a test on a buffet in a hotel, they used UV lights and infrared technology to put on one person's hands, and basically whatever they touched, you would then see that light being shone. Within an hour, that blue light was over everything. It was over all the utensils, it was on the majority of the food. So it shows how quickly things can spread if they're not managed properly. So we're going to see far more hygiene in the hotels. Will it be the end of buffets? I'm not so sure, but I know for one thing, we won't be helping ourselves to the buffet. If buffets do exist, we will have staff members that will serve us on our plate, I'm sure. But in the short term, I'm sure the buffets will not be the norm in the next few months at least. Obviously, we've seen a lot of technological advances in the hospitality industry over the last few years, but I think we're going to see that impact happening much quicker now. So the check-ins such as check-in and check-out, a lot of that is now done remotely anyway. You can check in online, you can check in on your mobile phone, but we're going to see, I think, a lot more of that, where we will see not as much contact between the guest and the front service desk agent. The use of mobile room keys, where you check in online and the key comes straight to your phone and you go straight to your room, tap your phone on the door and you're in your room. So I think we'll start to see this roll out much more quickly than it may have otherwise. We talked about space. At the moment in the UAE, restaurants are open. I'm not sure what the situation is in India at the moment, but restaurants are open in the UAE, but they're only allowed to serve at 30% capacity to their normal capacity, which means that the restaurants look very different than they did in the past. So we need to make sure that people have the room to do the social distancing that has been suggested by a lot of authorities worldwide. Laundry and linen operations. Again, we will see changes in these operations. We'll see far more PPE, so personal protective equipment for staff in these areas. So staff that are working in laundries, that are working to remove trash, will be provided with far more safety equipment than they may have been in the past. We'll see a lot more self-service pay systems, so where we'll see wireless pay. So again, removing that need for handing over your credit card to desk clerks or restaurant staff. A lot more tap and go, where you'll use your watches or your Samsung Pays, your Apple Pays to pay your bills. We see a lot more of the use of mobile apps. We've already seen in a number of hotels things like the WhatsApp butler, where if you would like any maintenance done to your room, if you would like to order room service, you can do it straight through WhatsApp rather than talking to someone. So again, we'll see a lot more of that. That non-contact service and order deliveries. Previously, when you ordered room service, the waiter would bring the food straight into your room, place it on the table or the counter in your room. Again, we probably won't see that for a while. Your room service will probably be left outside your door and you will need to collect that yourself. Things like hand sanitizers, that's going to be important as well. And we'll see these all around hotels. Everywhere you go, people have the opportunity to be sanitizing their hands. And another key thing that I predict will happen is we will see a reduction in staff numbers. Even when we come back to some form of normality, I think we're going to see hotels operate in a vastly different way, in that they will utilize their staff in different ways. We'll see technology potentially replacing some roles that were traditionally held by staff members, and that will have an impact on staffing worldwide in the hospitality industry. Again, related to technology, I think we'll see far more use of intelligent rooms. So, you know, when we look at the hotel rooms, the study by STR found that hotel guests spend about 12 minutes when they arrive in their room just trying to work out all of the light switches, how to turn the air conditioning or heating up or down, how to control the TV, and how to find their amenities. So the intelligent room will make that much easier. You'll do everything from your phone or from a tablet. And that will be everything from ordering room service to reporting maintenance issues. Everything will be done remotely through different apps. And this gives us several benefits as hoteliers as well. It allows us to be able to personalize that experience for our guests more. It can help with sustainability, so we can control things like lights, air conditioning and power remotely. We can have our housekeeping, engineering departments actually log into the room and fix issues without actually having to physically come to the room, which again will enhance the customer experience. And we'll have those controls actually remotely. So as I mentioned, engineering departments will be able to fix your air conditioning or fix a problem with the hot water remotely through different systems, allowing for faster, more reliable repairs. So what does that all mean? What does that all mean for our students? And as Prof Manhas said, I've also had many of my students and students from around the world reaching out to ask for advice. What are we going to do? How are we going to deal with this? There's been millions of people laid off worldwide or put onto unpaid leave. How are we going to be able to get jobs? So I've just got a few suggestions on what you can do as a student or as a graduate in order to make yourself more employable. So one of the things we mentioned was the smaller staff numbers. But that's not necessarily a bad thing for hospitality graduates, because I think what the hotels will be looking at is they'll be looking for more focus on those skilled, qualified and educated staff. So this is where hospitality graduates can fill a need for hotels. We'll be looking for our students to be able to work well in change management. When these types of situations get thrown at us, that we can actually deal with them and we can provide solutions to these problems. So I see smaller staff numbers actually being a positive for hospitality graduates, because I think hospitality graduates will be more in demand because of your skills, because of your knowledge, because of the fact that you are good at problem solving, your communication skills are very good. You'll be in high demand even after this pandemic. There'll be an increased focus on functional roles. So areas such as IT, HR, marketing, revenue, asset management, sustainability, all of these types of roles are roles that our graduates will hopefully be able to fill as well. So again, I think there's going to be an increased focus on these areas as far as your graduate roles go. One piece of advice that I would have for all new graduates is that you're not going to have the opportunities you may have had in the past. In the past, graduates from our academy, they had 4, 5, 6 job offers as they were graduating university. I can't see that being the case at least in the short-term future. So I think you need to focus on what's going to be good for you for your future, not what's good for you for the next 5 minutes. So therefore, you've got your whole career to earn a good salary. You don't have to be earning general manager salary as soon as you graduate. So use this time wisely to increase your skills, increase your experience. Maybe take a role that you'd never thought of before to allow you to grow and experience and be able to enhance the skills that you have to offer future employers. The industry will bounce back. There's a lot of there's obviously a lot of negativity at the moment. The industry is really suffering badly, probably more so than any other industry worldwide. Hotel chains are suffering. Airlines worldwide are in financial trouble. A number of airlines are filing for bankruptcy, and that's not going to help the industry rebound. But it will bounce back. We all want to travel. We all want to experience new things. And what we will see is we'll see domestic travel start to rebound quickest. So, focusing our attentions in the hotel industry on our domestic guests is going to be our first priority. We'll then see regional travel start to grow after domestic travel, but it will probably take some time for the long-haul travel and the really international travel to rebound. So again, we need to look at what does that mean for the hotels that you want to work in. Is it better to be working in a smaller regional hotel that focuses mainly on domestic tourists rather than a big 5-star hotel, which may take a lot more time to bounce back, considering that the majority of their guests are probably long-haul international travellers. You've also got time to work on your skills. Prof Manhas talked about IHLEI, STR. A number of these places run some very good short courses that you can do to upgrade your skills as well. Think about things like unpaid internships at the moment as well. Go and seek internships in areas that you want to work. And again, if you can afford it, then don't focus so much on the pay, but focus on the skills and the opportunities that unpaid internship may provide to you. Do short courses, whether that might be in functional areas that you would like to know more about. If you're interested in asset management, maybe doing some online courses with the Asset Management Association. If you're interested in finance, some short courses in finance might help. Think about an opportunity for postgraduate study. This might be an opportunity for you to continue your undergrad studies and move into a master's program. And as I mentioned, doing short-term certificates and diplomas in functional areas, like a certificate in human resource management or a certificate in finance could be something that will enhance your future prospects as well. But the main thing that I would like to say to our students here today and our future graduates is that now more than ever, you need to be proactive. You need to make sure that you're putting yourself out there. You know, there are millions of people worldwide that are now looking for jobs. So you have to make sure that you're going out and you're chasing those opportunities and those positions that you're interested in. Employers won't come to you. You need to find those employers that you want to work for. So you need to put yourself out there. You need to not just apply for hundreds of jobs online, because as you can imagine, employers at the moment are going to be receiving thousands and thousands of resumes and CVs for each of the positions that they have available. So you need to make sure that you're touching base and you're reaching out and you're networking through your institutions, through your universities. I'm sure you've had the opportunity to meet multiple people from industry. I'm sure you have guest lecturers come in all the time. Reach out to those people, see how they can offer any assistance to you as well. Take the opportunity to attend webinars such as this, to learn more, to update your skills. And many hotel companies are also offering webinars at the moment as well. So, you know, attend those webinars, find out more about those companies so that you know what you have to offer when you apply to those companies. Reach out to your contacts, as I said, and HR executives directly, rather than just sending a CV. If you just send your CV in online, chances are it won't even be read. So even if you are the best person for the job, if you're applying with 500 or 1,000 other people, chances are that the recruiter, the HR director, is not even going to see your CV. So you need to go that extra step to show the employer what you can do. And you need to be able to tell them why they should employ you rather than someone else. So again, it's about making sure that you're highlighting all of the skills and knowledge that you have. And remember that you do have something to offer. Just because you're a student or a graduate and you may not have too much experience in industry, you've got something that you can offer to the industry. So always make sure you're putting your best foot forward. So I'd just like to wrap up, and obviously, you know, we've got time for questions after this, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has. But my advice to all of our students out there and all of our future graduates is stay positive. The industry will bounce back. You've got a very, very long career ahead of you. Your career is not about the next 5 minutes or the next 5 months or even the next 5 years. Your career is about the next 50 years. So you've got plenty of time. Try to stay upbeat. Try to use some of the, maybe some of the initiatives I've told you about today, and reach out to your professors. You know, reach out to your network. Networking is going to be crucial moving forward. So thanks again. I hope you found it interesting, and I'm happy now with Prof Manhas to take any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Thank you. Nikhil, you must be preparing the questions by now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have I just will be sharing the screen with you people for the questions.
So, thank you. Those were very nice words. And as Scott was referring, and I would like to tell all my students, multitasking is going to be the end thing. So yes, there are going to be leaner organizations, but what if you all would recall, or if you all would take a look at it, hotels just not had only hospitality graduates, but they had experts from other fields also. So it's those people from other fields that are going to move out. Hospitality graduates would need to learn the trades of those other people. That's why I've been saying that multitasking, get some other degrees and start working on that. That's going to be a very, very important aspect. So Scott, we have a couple of questions on the screen. You might be able to look at it. What actions made by the Jumeirah Group of hotels in Dubai you have observed in these stages of epidemic? Somebody wants to know that. What are the?
Sure. Well, obviously, you know, we're part of the Jumeirah Group, so we're quite close to Jumeirah. Look, I don't think Jumeirah has been all that different to most of the other hotel chains worldwide. They've faced exactly the same situation as other hotels. They have obviously looked at, you know, making sure that they're looking out for people as much as possible, looking at how we can work with our colleagues and our staff to try to make sure that they have employment ongoing. There have been, obviously, some people have been put onto reduced workloads. A number of the hotels have been closed right across Dubai, so not just Jumeirah, but there were, the majority of hotels, particularly for March and April, were basically closed. So obviously what Jumeirah is doing, similar to a lot of other organisations, is making sure that they're ready for the post-COVID traveller. And I see the next question there, I think question 3 is about the sanitisation chambers at hotel entrance. So these are the types of things that are definitely being put into place. I think thermal imaging, taking temperature as people are coming into hotels and restaurants will become the norm. And we will see things like thermal scanners at front entrances to hotels, like you have currently in the airports. So these are the types of things that they're doing. With the restaurants, again, they're reconfiguring restaurants, they're reconfiguring the buffets, they're looking at different ways to be able to enhance that experience. The key thing, I think, for everyone is that we go and stay at beautiful hotels and we travel because we want nice, positive experiences. So we need to try to still maintain that for our guests. We still need to try to maintain that level of excellence, that level of quality, with obviously while still applying these social distancing measures. So it's been very interesting. I think we'll see very different hotels when they do start to reopen, and I think we have to be prepared for that. Where in the past there would have been hundreds of deck chairs on the beach or hundreds of deck chairs around the pool, that might be now a quarter of the number of deck chairs. So we might start seeing restrictions on how long you can sit by the pool. We might have you can stay for 2 hours and then you've got to give your seat up to another guest. These types of things we may start to see worldwide to do with the this whole notion of social distancing. And as Prof Manhas said earlier, we just don't know how long this will last. This could last another couple of months. It could last another couple of years. We just don't know at the moment. So we need to put all these things in place, and making sure that our primary concern is that the health of our colleagues and the health of our guests has to be our main priority.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Yes, indeed, that's true. And it's going there. There are going to be a lot of changes, and they are going to come day by day. It doesn't whatever is good today may not be tomorrow. So keep updating yourself. The new normals are still coming up. Everyone around the globe is in this situation for the first time. So last time we had something like that was somewhere in 1930s or 20s and those periods. So most of those people are pretty old now. So all the young generation, a working class, is seeing it for the first time, and everybody's trying to innovate and understand this particular thing. So that's an important aspect. I'll take one of the questions. Obviously, we are going to take all your questions. If we are not able to answer them today during this time period, we'll put the answers on the Facebook page. So you all, and a lot of students are requesting that can we have some of them have come late, so they wanted some things to repeat it. For their information, these sessions are going live on FB. So you can go to our FB page and you can see the recordings n number of times. Our presentations are also there. You can get hold of those presentations also, and everything you want. Even the questions and answers are going to be there on my blog also. Presentations are going to be there. So you also, a lot of people have been messaging that we need all these things. So you'll get all these things over there. I'll just take this opportunity on a personal level. One of my teachers is present over here, Dr. B.C. Sharma, Professor B.C. Sharma, my teacher, and he's been one of our mentors over there in the business school. So thank you. Thanks a lot for coming, sir. We really
Parikshat, thank you. Parikshat, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming, sir. He has put up a question.
Can I?
Yeah, I was.
Can I?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask myself?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
See, the question is with the SOPs, the costs are going to escalate.
Mm-hmm.
Whether yesterday you have seen the plane has landed from one Lufthansa plane has landed.
Mm-hmm.
They were taken for quarantine, they were vaccinated, and then after the report they have to. Now all these things will result in escalation of cost. No doubt fuel has become cheaper, but other things, how the industry, whether tourism or travel, are going to absorb the costs. If not, then there will be no job and nothing will happen. So how the things are going, no doubt fuel prices have to come down.
Sir, your question is very well taken, sir. What happens is, sir, we have been talking about this for a long period. For last couple of lectures also, we discussed all these things. See, the first aspect is the number of travelers and the number of time each traveler is going to travel. That is going to be reduced considerably. So that's one of the most important. So if I was spending around 3 lakhs on my 10 trips, now I'm going to spend that 3 lakhs on my next 5 or 6 trips. So that's one of the factors where the extra money within my pocket is going to come from. Second aspect that we have, sir, over here is that we have to build up a trade-off between hygiene, healthcare, personal care, and comfort, and then travel. So all these things, there has to be a trade-off between all these things. So obviously, when there is a question now, everybody is sanitized with the fact that COVID-19 is a threat, is a very threat to everybody's hygiene, to everybody's upkeep and well-being. So I would rather try to be safe than sorry afterwards. So these costs need to be factored into, obviously, American Airlines has removed the middle seats and they are flying. But now the fact is that the customers are aware of this particular factor, so these costs will be factored. And another very important aspect that is going to come into play over here, sir, is that insurance companies are also going to play a huge role in this way, because flexible pricing, cancellation at the last moment, minimum cancellation charges, all these things are going to be factored in. Because what happens if somebody goes to the airport and he's found positive, he's not allowed to board the flight, and he has bought a ticket for 10,000 or 15,000 or $100 or $200. So those $100 cannot go waste. People will be afraid of buying tickets from next time. So what actually is going to happen over here, sir, is that insurance companies will also start factoring all these things. Cancellation is going to come up, and people will need to understand that the costs of things are going to change over a period of time, and everybody will have that extra income in their hands. Scott, how would you respond to this?
Yeah, I tend to agree, Prof. Manhas. I think, unfortunately, the cost will go up. I can't see any way around that. I think in the short term, we may see hotels having some sort of specials to try to reinvigorate the industry. But I think in the long term, we are going to see airline prices will go up, and hotel prices, if the cost of putting these measures in place comes into effect, and they can only have less people in their restaurants and less people, by their pools, etc., then the cost is going to go up. And I agree with, I think what we'll see is, we'll probably see people taking fewer holidays, but probably spending more money on each holiday, rather than 5 or 6 much smaller holidays where we spend $2,000 each time, taking one holiday where we spend $8,000 or $9,000 on that one holiday. I think we might start to see some of that as well. But also think that domestically is going to be the key. So countries like India that have a huge domestic population, you might find that things bounce back a bit quicker than, say, a country like Australia, which relies very heavily on international tourists, or Dubai, which relies very heavily on international tourists. China, we've already started to see in China the rebound of tourism there. Again, because they have such a massive domestic tourism population, that it can turn around reasonably quickly. But Professor Sharma, I definitely agree, those costs are going to add up. And I think where we'll see savings, as I mentioned, is I think we will see less staff in hotels. And that's one way that the hotels will make savings.
And I would like to add over here also, because at this moment, as we have been looking at that, more than 72% destinations have international travel restrictions, and 95% destinations have total travel restrictions also in place. And the fact is that we all are making losses. So the first thing would be to minimize the losses, then would be to break even, and then come to profits. And the numbers are definitely going to change. Over 3-4 years, we'll have different set of numbers that is going to come up, and that is going to build up. And Scott, in my earlier lectures, both of us have not spoken about it, but in my earlier lectures, I've told all the participants, the first thing that is going to rebound is domestic tourism. And within domestic tourism, the first thing that is going to rebound is religious tourism, because that is emotion-based. And people are going to go for short holidays of 100, 150 kilometers and within that region. So we have another question, Scott, coming up. This is the question number 4, which is related to Dubai. So you are the best person to answer. What is the situation of hospitality graduate freshers in Dubai?
It's tough. It's tough at the moment. It's just like, you know, anywhere else in the world. You know, our graduates who are finishing in July are starting to wonder how or why they, you know, where they're going to get their jobs. As I said, I think it's just they need to be patient. You know, I think people need to be patient. Things will get better. You know, the industry here is huge, and those roles will start to come back. At the moment, as I said, things like internships are quite tough because hotels aren't open. You know, I think it's probably 10% of the hotels in Dubai that are actually sort of operating at you know, normal capacity, or obviously, I mean, open normally. They're obviously nowhere near capacity as far as the number of guests go. So I wouldn't think it's any different to the freshers anywhere else. I think in Dubai, I think the opportunities that the students have here with the number of hotels that are around, the opportunities will bounce back, and they'll bounce back in the shorter term. So I think, look, in Dubai, we're coming into the summer now. So obviously in the summer, it's not the tourist season in Dubai anyway. It's very hot in Dubai in the summer, so the summer tends to see less tourists coming, and the winter is much more popular in Dubai. So I'd be very hopeful that by sort of, you know, September, you know, if restrictions have started to be reduced worldwide, come September we can start to see a bit more opportunities. I think we'll start to see those graduate roles start to come back into play. And I really think that the hotels will really focus on their graduate management programs once they reopen, because they want good, young, passionate, smart staff. So I think it's just a matter of patience. As I said before, we just need to look at this as a long-term goal, not a short-term goal, and do things now that you may not have had the opportunity to do previously, or with the time that you may have now, to increase what you have to offer to an employer.
We'll quickly take one more question, and for rest of the questions, kindly go to our FB page. We'll upload all the answers by today evening or tomorrow, so you'll have the answers. And even if you have more questions, start asking them. They'll be there on my blog and everywhere. So this is, we'll take the 7. You pick the question, which one you want to take up, Scott.
Let's have a look.
There's a banquets question. There's...
Yeah, look, I think the other question is about the front desk staff if technology take over. Look, I don't think the front desk will disappear. I think it'll change, and maybe the number of people that are working behind the front desk will change. But I really think it really depends on the nature of the hotel as well. If it's a business hotel where mainly business travellers, then you may see the front desk disappear altogether, and you may see people doing, you know, online check-ins straight to the room. But if you're a leisure hotel such as the Jumeirah properties, you know, you want contact, you want to talk to someone, you want to ask them about the facilities, you want to ask them about how to, you know, book a spa treatment or how to do a desert safari. So I don't think the front desk will disappear. It will change. The number of people on the desk might change, but if depending on the nature, if it's a leisure hotel, we will still have front desk, we'll still have concierge, but some of those services may be moved to more of an online mode. And to touch on the banqueting, again, I think we're going to see a lot more plated service. I don't think people will be going up to buffets and helping themselves and putting their hands all over everything. I think even if we have a buffet, we'll have a staff member that will be serving you from the buffet. But in the short term, I think buffets will probably phase out for a little while. You know, there's a lot of talk about, particularly with cruise ships, for example, where the buffets are a massive part of cruising, but they're also a massive part of how things get transmitted if there are problems on the boat. So I do think that the banqueting will change. I think we'll see a lot more plated service rather than the buffet service, at least in the short to medium term.
Yeah, I agree, Scott. And the fact is that front office is going to stay there. The point is that who takes over and how it is managed. There are more technology interventions, but behind that also there'll be people like hospitality graduates will be actually working on those particular things and moving forward with those are concerned. Thank you, Scott. again, I would like to repeat that we have this lot of questions and our presentations. Whosoever has joined late can join us over there also on FB and can take a look at the back files also. Stay put. We'll have a very good